Welcome back to the Crypto Factor and welcome back to Gareth Soloway. Today we're going to be talking about the mayhem, about the nukes, about anything you can possibly imagine that's going on with crypto right now. It's a crazy day. Gareth, shed some light. Tell us what's going on, man.
Wow. I mean, it is nuts out there. Absolutely. And really what's going on is FTX is a borderline failing and essentially that thing has collapsed. I mean, it's just remarkable. I'm trying to bring up my chart right now, but the collapse in that alone is spooking everyone. Everyone's having deja vu with Terra Luna, right? We know Terra
Right.
Luna collapsed. Here you have FTX. Now it is bouncing off the lows, got as low as about 275. It's back to over $5, but still down from 22 on the day. And
Insane.
that is an epic collapse. And it's spooking the whole crypto market. And again, this is just one more thing that the crypto market knows that regulation is coming. And the more things like this happen, the scarier the regulation potentially becomes for the overall market. So again, it's a monster drop, and yeah, I mean, look at Solana, Avalanche. I mean, there's just everything is just getting hammered.
But didn't CZ isn't he bailing them out?
I heard something like that too. And then we saw a bounce in Binance plus in
Bitcoin.
FTX. And then it all just went away and it
Yeah.
collapsed even further. So it makes me wonder what the real narrative is here. What's the real story? And so I'm just waiting to hear facts, hear more stuff later today.
Do you think it's just massive panic and it'll go up? See, for example, what's going on with the midterms?
Yeah, so the midterms are today. And by the way, I got to throw this one out there, and this is a crazy one. But basically, 1 year ago today, the highest close on Bitcoin occurred, November 8th, 2021. 1 year later, this is where we are in the crypto markets, obviously having panic in here. In addition, last night we had a red blood moon, full moon, whatever it is. And I mean, just that alone, you have to wonder. I mean, there's weird impacts that the moon, the lunar cycle can give you. And sure enough, we're seeing some of the craziness today. So just some crazy stuff going on here. But I think ultimately, you have to be careful of FTX because we know what happened to Terra Luna. I don't know the leverage that these companies have on their balance sheets because honestly, we don't have the transparency that a stock company has to report, right? So be careful. I still think there's opportunities in panic on other cryptocurrencies, but you have to be careful, trade small.
Yeah. So do you think we're going to get a bounce here to retest back to the 20K? Do you think it's just going to be volatile to see what's going on with the elections? By the way, when do the results come out?
Yeah, so I mean, the results should be out Eastern time, probably by about 10 o'clock at night, maybe a little bit later. But it's very possible that we will not know who holds the House and Senate until tomorrow, because if they're close races, they're going to have to do a recount. They'll do all that kind of stuff. And so it could be till tomorrow. So I think the markets want a split government. The market likes kind of the inability for either side to push through new regulation. And I think that's what the market's hoping for, no doubt about it. But I think, again, there are opportunities in crypto, but you got to be really careful, be very, very careful in this environment.
So yesterday, well, day before yesterday, I actually made a video about us not closing about 21.5K, not confirming, and that we could have potential downside if we don't confirm above it. Can we look at that level and see what you feel, what you see? Is there some way somebody could have seen this through TA?
Yeah, so let's take a look. So we'll look at the Bitcoin chart. And basically what we had was we had a potential breakout right here, right? So you had the market get above, let me put in some trend lines here. So this was a previous pivot and we kind of got above there, okay? And so we got above here, we retested, we then went up. And then the fact of the matter is we came right back in it. You could almost look at it like right here. I mean, once this couldn't hold the breakout above this high, that
Right.
was a bearish indicator. Now, again, did I know that we were going to have this type of collapse? No. I mean, again, this is an epic drop in crypto as a whole. But I do think that you could see the fact that you had a breakout here that confirmed and it wasn't able to hold and you basically went back below. That's never a good sign.
Yeah, that was my argument. I don't think anybody anticipated what was going to happen except maybe CZ.
Yeah.
Um, but we are still in that channel. What do you think?
Yep. Yeah, I think that's what's amazing. So I mean, you could argue that Bitcoin's holding on, right? Because even on the flush, you could see that we just retraced to this trend line. See this green line sloping down through this pivot and right through here, and we broke out above it and we retraced back to it, and we're actually holding that line. So that's a small positive. If that continues to hold, I think that's good. If you actually were to get by the end of the closing day, which is I think 7 p.m. Eastern time here, if you get back to this trend line and close right on this trend line, that would be another short-term bullish signal. So it was a nasty flush, but there are some hopes. There's some hope here that Bitcoin can recover just a little bit.
Now, we're going to be talking about stocks. We're going to talk about cryptocurrencies in a second. But quick question. Would you say that what are your political views, as in what do you think the situation with the votes can do to Bitcoin and the markets? Would you see, for example, if Republican takes House and Senate, would you say that gives us a bigger chance for us to have seasonality till the end of the year in Bitcoin and stocks, because Bitcoin follows stocks?
There is a possibility, right? So I think that the Republicans are kind of the less likely to regulate harshly group. So I think that is definitely a possibility there. Although I do think that the SEC is the one that's mostly in control here. So we have to respect that. And that may mean that it doesn't matter who controls the houses of government in the US. Now, having said that, we have to also look and say, the seasonality side of things. I agree that oftentimes you'll see that Christmas rally, that Santa Claus rally, but we have to watch and see what goes on here with not Terra Luna, but FTX, right? I mean, a Freudian slip there in a weird way. But I think this is the thing, is that does this start a chain reaction? I don't think it will, because Terra Luna's, FTX wasn't as big as Terra Luna, but I do also think that investors just need to be cautious here. I still have a downside target of 12 to 13,000 on Bitcoin, maybe even lower than that. And this, unfortunately, this could be the start. I'm watching those trend lines we just watched to see where it closes.
You don't think it's too fast, too soon?
If anything, you've made this long bear flag going back to June, and here we are in November. So, this is one of the longer bear flags that I've seen. It's very reminiscent. If we go back to 2000, let me show my chart here. If we go back to 2018, we had a very, very similar period in crypto where you basically went from here sideways for, let's see how long, from June as well. So June all the way until November. So June to November sideways, and then you broke down. Now that's kind of crazy, right? I didn't realize that it was going to align quite like that. But basically, this is almost mimicking what we saw. So, and then we saw the breakdown. So we got to just be careful. I don't necessarily know if it will, be exactly like it was back then, but we do want to be careful.
All right, real quick, before we get into the stock market, are you on the bandwagon that if Republicans win the House and Senate, my theory, or a few people's theory, is that because they're going to be challenging Biden on every move, not many things will change. Markets don't like change, therefore that could help the rally. If the stocks rise, then we'll take Bitcoin or crypto with it. Are you on that bandwagon or not?
I am on the bandwagon that the initial reaction to the Republicans, even taking one of the houses, right? Because if one goes one way, one goes the other, then they're deadlocked anyways. But I think that, yes, that would be a very short-term positive. But I will tell you this, is that as soon as we get a day or two out of these elections, the markets are going to focus back in on the CPI on Thursday and then all the data coming up, plus the Fed decision in December. And I honestly think that that's way more important than the overall markets. I really do. I think that's going to be the driving force. And I'm not so optimistic about a Christmas rally this year. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I'm not super optimistic over it.
All right, what about stocks? What are we seeing on the S&P 500 right now, Gareth?
So S&P is still, last I checked, was still slightly green on the day, but what a sell-off on an intraday basis. I got to show you guys, let me bring up my chart here and show you the intraday, because basically when crypto was dumping, we saw a sympathy drop in the S&P, right? And basically what this was panic in the crypto markets that then was being kind of pervasive and spreading. It was a contagion event where the collapses in these cryptos then spread into stocks. Now, again, in the stock market, it didn't turn out to be a huge move like in crypto, but it does show you the connection of the crypto market to the stock market, because humans are both in crypto and in stocks. And so when you see your crypto collapse and you're seeing, oh my goodness, I'm down 30, 40, 50% here, you obviously are going to be a little nervous about holding your stocks in the meantime. So a lot of people sold. Now, we've seen a bounce in crypto, and we're also seeing a bounce in the S&P 500. Now, on the daily chart, what we can see is we're hovering in kind of a bearish pattern here, just underneath a lot of resistance. So this is kind of a little bit of a scary pattern going into the election results. I'm going to be honest with you, where I do think the markets are going to have another leg lower. I just don't know if we rally up into this resistance first on the election results, and then the CPI maybe takes us down.
Yeah, there's a doji there. There's uncertainty. So from a quick look and quick glance, what about gold? What's going on with gold right now?
Gold, my favorite, right? I'm loving gold. The move in gold is tremendous today. It's following up. I love this pattern where you have a surge, pause, surge, right? And now the big question is, can gold take out around the $1,725 level? But again, I love seeing these stronger moves in gold. It's coinciding with a weaker dollar price action, right? We know the dollar has come down sharply, but the only thing I would just caution, look at the dollar. See this trend line? The dollar is now, and I'm going to take away this one for now, even though we're still there. But look at this channel and look at where we just...
It's not loading it. Oh, yeah, now it's loaded. Okay.
Yep, there we go. So see this low end right here? That's what... That could tell us that there's going to be a bounce in the dollar. So that makes me a little wary about the stock market, because we know that stocks tend to go down when the dollar bounces. So just be aware of that. You're coming into these election results with 3 down days in a row on the dollar into support. Does the election results dictate a bounce? I mean, again, what could cause a bounce? I mean, I hate to say these type of things, but like, if you saw any violence with the elections, if you saw any instability, I mean, these are things that could make people run into the safety of the dollar, and then the stock market would obviously decline on the back of that. So I'm very kind of cautious. I actually picked up a little bit on the short side today of the stock market when we were near the highs of the day.
And gold. Gold is also counter
exactly
to the dollar, correct?
It's a safety hedge as well. Absolutely.
All right. What about oil? What's going on with oil? What's going on with other markets? What do you have to tell us?
Yeah, so oil had broken above a little channel here. Let me show my chart again. We saw oil break above briefly and then kind of pause, and then it looks like it's failing the breakout. So we're going to watch this. The biggest line to me is this upsloping one right here. And again, that's going to be the one that if we hold it, you can be neutral to positive on oil. If you break this line, I think you actually head all the way back to $76 a barrel on spot crude. So it's an interesting price action day. But again, we still haven't tagged support yet. So that's the level I'm going to be watching.
So is there any cryptocurrencies that you saw that are having strength in the market? Maybe it's Binance, maybe it's Matic, Polygon. Is there any that you've seen with strength that you would, if you were to buy cryptocurrency, take a risky play with a stop loss at whatever level, doesn't matter, what would you be looking at?
Yeah, so I mean, one of them I would keep an eye on is Polkadot. Mainly, number one, while a lot of cryptos were pulling back the last few days, this made a new high. I did hear something about how Polkadot was going to be considered to be a commodity like Bitcoin versus the securities. And I think that gave a lot of people some interest in this. So that would be something that you can kind of, the commodity side of Bitcoin, the regulation should be a little easier to figure out. And if Polkadot's in that group, then I think this one as well. Let's take a look at Matic and see what's going on there. Ooh, crazy sell-off. I mean, Matic was having an amazing move, and then it got wiped out, but it actually held this low area here too. So, you know, it's obviously had a huge bounce at this point, but I mean, you know, I would say for right now, I would suggest sticking with best of breed, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then let the dust settle. And then we can see where these alts are kind of forming or where they are.
Gareth, thank you so much for your input. Thank you so much for your charts. Thank you for being on the channel. Really appreciate you. Always appreciate you. Make sure you check out Gareth at the top right here at the links. Gareth, thank you, man. And I'll see you a month this time.
Sounds good, buddy. Sounds good. That sounds awesome. Have a great one. And
thank you very much, Gareth. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.